Carl Wilkinson, are you ready to give your predictions for NXT Takeover in your house? Quick fire.
Hell yeah.
Now, for those of you who are watching and thinking, wait a minute, where's the intro for all this? It's because we actually have done this on the State of Wrestling Address podcast. This will be a separate video available for YouTube. So if you want to see our facial reactions, which God knows why you would, but they are here nonetheless. Now, NXT Takeover is this Sunday, unfortunately not on a Saturday. I will be watching it live, and hopefully Mr. Wilkinson will be joining me to cover the pay-per-view after the fact, because it's going to be a stonker. And obviously, where it is an NXT Takeover, you know that the card is going to be much more manageable, and you're going to be able to, shall we say, watch it without fucking getting pissed off and annoyed. 4 hours is too long. I do not have time to watch a 4-hour pay-per-view.
Even I don't. It starts at like 7 p.m., 8 p.m. my time. Like, even then, I don't want to be up to like 10:30 watching wrestling. I just don't. Not anymore. I'm too old for that shit, man.
Well, there are 5 matches on tap. They all look fantastic. This,
yeah, they do.
What NXT takeovers do, has the potential to completely blow everybody else away. So we're going to start with a singles match. Mercedes Martinez challenges Xia Lee.
This Xia Lee stuff's been really weird for me, but in like a good way. I think these two are going to lump like 10 pounds of shit off each other, but there's no way Lee can lose here because they're kind of building it up so much. I think it would be a detriment to the character to lose at the moment, so I think she'll pick up the win here.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Xia Lee just because... And also, what I like about this is the first time I watched NXT this week, which, by the way, was absolutely incredible. One of my favorite NXTs of all time. It was that good, I thought, and reminded me of why I'm glad I watched that and I don't waste my time with some of the other stuff floating around, because it just works for me. And that's because it's very much tailored towards my idea of what I enjoy in wrestling. But Mercedes Martinez, beat the shit out of Xia Lee because she can. And I think that's cool. It wasn't one of these things of like, yes, but she's got Tian Sha and all this kind of stuff going on. She is still susceptible to an ass kicking because Mercedes Martinez is a fucking gangster. I think this is going to be hard hitting, physical, and I think this is actually going to be a really underappreciated match when everything's all said and done. But I will stick with Xia Lee. I think if you're building this kind of momentum, I think at some point, particularly if she can deal with Mercedes Martinez, who is, I know everyone's bigger than her, but Mercedes Martinez is a bit of a unit, much taller, and she's kind of very similar to Raquel Gonzalez. I think Xia Lee might be long-term the person who possibly dethrones Raquel Gonzalez right now, because it looks like eventually going to separate her from Dakota Kai. And I think that they're very much going to build towards maybe Raquel Gonzalez. They've laid seeds of a face turn somewhat, with her kind of saying, I'll take on all comers and I'll do it properly and I square up to people to their face and all that. And I think her versus Xia Lee could be an almighty ass-kicking collision, particularly if you get these outside elements involved and maybe bring in some minimal cinematic kind of aspects to it as well in the build-up to the match itself. Speaking of Raquel Gonzalez, she'll be defending her NXT Women's Championship against Ember Moon.
I'd love to see Ember get another run, but now's not the time. No way. Raquel Gonzalez is fucking awesome. Yeah, she really beat Io Shirai. She's going to be riding that wave for at least like a good 6-7 months.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited about Raquel Gonzalez as a long-term women's champion. I love the fact that NXT, for the most part, make their title runs feel so credible, particularly their major ones. People, this kind of sums up the problem with the kind of, I don't know what term you'd use. Shall we just say fickle fan base? Because they're like, as soon as someone's had it for more than 2 months, when are you going to get the belt off of so-and-so? Mate, fucking, can you imagine how these people would have handled like the Bruno Sammartino era? Jesus Christ. And he was more over than anyone else, despite not being necessarily the best technical wrestler of all time by any means. But fuck me, I think he held it for like 10 years at one point, didn't he?
Was it 4,700?
Fabulous Moolah was like women's champion for like 25 years, for fuck's sake. And
but how many times was that title actually defended?
Yeah, also, if you watch The Dark Side of the Ring, you will realise that actually she's a fucking great big cancer to women's wrestling. Put it back. Shout out to Wendy Richter, my girl. She is a fucking amazing woman. She brought women's wrestling forward so much and doesn't get any love or appreciation for it. Yeah. I mean, it's obviously going to be Raquel Gonzalez. I don't see why Ember Moon. And also, I get why they wanted Emma Moon in there, because she's kind of a veteran now, isn't she? She's kind of gone all over the roster and come back. She had that, near career-ending injury, and it took so long to get back from that. But at the same time, this is a woman who just lost the tag team titles, the women's tag team titles, which are yet to... I feel like they're already building more credibility after the little hiccup right at the start. Having the first champions lose it after half an hour wasn't great, but after that, they seem to have righted the ship quite nicely for those tag titles, and they seem to mean something. And shout out to the Way, because the Way are fucking amazing. They're my favorite faction in wrestling right now. I think they're incredible, and I'm also very excited about Hit Row as well, getting involved in that nonsense too. But yeah, Raquel Gonzalez to retain. This is going to be a fucking stonker, mate. A ladder match for the $1 million championship.
Oh, yes.
This is going to steal the show. LA Knight, Tommy, yeah, versus Cameron Grimes. It's all about the money. I don't know if you've seen the promos these guys cut on NXT this week, the backstage stuff in the pool, and Eli Drake, aka LA Knight, losing his absolute everlasting shit while he's in a pool with two ridiculously hot women, and then both of them trying to speed past each other as they entered the arena to suck up to Ted DiBiase. And this is, pun intended, gold. Yeah, they've even got a golden ladder for this. I'm so excited. Everything about this just screams high quality, high level entertainment. Who's going to walk away though with the $1 million championship when it's all said and done?
They've booked LA Knight pretty shite so far, haven't they? Really?
Yeah, I agree. Actually,
so it's hard to believe he's going to win it. I mean, it would be really fun for him to have it as a heel, because it's definitely a heel prop. But at the same time, and the reason I'm going with Cameron Grimes for this is because he's fucking hilarious. He's just like this redneck that's obsessed with money. And if he has this belt with, all the diamonds in it and shit, the vignettes and stuff they could put up, you could pump those out for 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years, and I'd watch every single one every time, at least twice, because he's just so good.
I think Cameron Grimes is the amalgamation of what an old school talent with old school principles can do in the modern era. He would fit in so beautifully in Mid-South and, the old kind of days of Deep South and things like that. He's perfect. I love his gimmick. He's stupendously over the top. Can you imagine Cameron Grimes versus Randy Savage in his prime, or things of that nature? That's where you can really feel it. If you can see a guy like him working with the greatest talents, I can imagine him trying to put over The Rock, trying to slate Cameron Grimes backstage, and him just being like, to the moon, and just shaking all this money in his face, and he's trying to buy. He comes out, and his character has the audacity to try and buy the Undisputed Era, catalog, so that he can rebirth it and make more money from it. And Kyle O'Reilly's like, get the fuck out of here. The whole thing works so well. But LA Knight has to win this, because if he doesn't, all of a sudden, he lost very early doors to Bronson Reed, which isn't a problem, because Bronson Reed is doing very well right now. Very excited about him finally getting his big push. But I think they've recognized very early doors, and I still believe this to be true. This is my ultimate conspiracy theory. I think Triple H is deliberately making him look a bit soft and a bit weak and jobbing him out at points, so that when he does hit the main roster, Vince will actually think more of him. Because the more I think you come into the main roster as a big star from NXT, the more Vince is like, I'm going to shit on you because my son made you, and he's a piece of shit, and I'm the only one who's even remotely cognizant when it comes to creative. So yeah, LA Knight's got to win this. And also, I think long term, LA Knight, I think he's an amazing promo, but I think Cameron Grimes is so larger than life to the point where he can't have a manager. I don't think it would work. But LA Knight can still get away with being a great promo guy and having a manager. And I think having Ted DiBiase turn up now and then, especially if he got to the main roster, would be a real coup for WWE, because the fans would love him because he's old school. Who doesn't love the $1 million man? Plus, he shares my birthday. So that's pretty good. Me, him, and Batista. What a collection of talent. Spot the odd one out there. Jesus. But yeah, no, I think LA Knight has to win this one, and I'm going to stick my neck out and say he will win it, because I think if he doesn't... Plus, Cameron Grimes, I don't think he gets hurt at all. by losing this. He can play the fool and lose every week and still be one of the most over talents. It's not always about being a consistent winner. And Cameron Grimes is one of those guys who can get away with it. Look at how many guys he's put over, like Dexter Loomis, you know, in that horror match, and his rivalry with Bronson Reed and getting smashed around by Kyle O'Reilly. He seems to come out on the losing end of everything, but he gets more and more popular. And the skits that he does, where he's just freaking out, and every week he's like, that goddamn Ted DiBiase. It's like, it's fucking gold. It pisses on everything else in wrestling right now. It's that good. It's so good. I think he is phenomenal. He's up there. We should start our own rankings, because if we did, Cameron Grimes would be in my top 5, I swear to God, every week in all of wrestling. He's so special at what he does. Should be a good match. Will it be as good, however, as a 6-man tag match with all the gold on the line? The North American champion Bronson Reed tags with our boys, the tag team champions.
Yeah.
And all of those titles will be on the line as they face Legado del Fantasma. So I assume if Legado wins this match, they'll pick up. I assume that they'll make the North American champion Santos Escobar, which you totally should do at some point soon. And of course, Legado will most likely dethrone MSK as the tag team champions. However, is that going to be the case or not? I imagine this match is going to be incredible, but who do you think is going to win and walk out with all the gold?
I think the champs will retain here. Bronson Reed just got the North American title a few weeks back, and it was a huge moment. Like,
beating the guy of NXT as well to take that belt.
And I mean, MSK is MSK, so that's all you really need to say about that, isn't it?
Popcorn. I love them. I love them so much. They're so much fun. And, you know, Wesley, as he's now called, he still takes the time to message me if I say hello to him or say, I like to send him messages every now and then and just say, fucking amazing match again. Shout out, mad love to you guys. And he would always message back and say thank you or quote tweet. And he's never felt like too big a star to recognize the people around him. If you can't like Bronson Reed and MSK, you shouldn't watch wrestling, because they're the coolest guys in this business. They really are. Bronson Reed is a fucking lovely human being. I met him when he was Jonah Rock. I've never known anyone to give as much time to me as he did. He gave me a signed PWG card just for buying his t-shirt. You know, I could speak all day about him as Jonah Rock. He was my favorite heavy hitter in the indies, and to see him finally achieve some amazing things. People are turning their nose up at it, you know, making snotty remarks saying, 14 years and all he's won is the North American Championship. Fuck off. Fuck right off. That is still a big deal. And to come out of Australia, where the scene is very good now, but it's very isolated. It's really difficult to break out of that scene. You know, it is still quite a kind of novelty to see good Australian wrestlers and New Zealanders on a roster, particularly when you consider, you know, how many great wrestlers there are over there now. Shane Thorne, of course, not included. Fuck you, Aaron Cruz. But ultimately, I think that the champions do retain as well. I think it's way too early doors to take it off them. And by the way, a nice little caveat to this match, they're having a number one contenders of sorts match for the tag team, number one contenders for the tag titles on next week's NXT, a tornado tag, Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa versus the grizzled young veterans.
What's Tuesday D&D night?
That's going to be fucking peng, and we're getting that on. That's how you do world-class pay-per-views and a world-class pay-per-view match on TV as well. Take note, Mr. Dog Wanker. That's how it's done. Mwah. Masterful. I'm so excited. That match alone could be a main event of a pay-per-view, and I would pay money to see it. That's how good that match is. And it's not even on this show. Disgraceful. The main event, however.
There's so much going on here that I can't poke the boner in enough directions.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, seriously, I have raging clues all over the board.
Like, I can't swing everywhere. Swing.
This is going to be fucking peng. Karrion Kross defends his NXT Championship in a fatal five-way.
Take a breather. Just let it settle for a moment.
Kyle O'Reilly. Adam Cole, baby. Johnny Gargano.
Sorry.
Actually sweating. So much so I've forgotten the last guy. And who's the other guy? Help me out.
Is it Finn Balor? Is Finn Balor in there?
It is Finn Balor, right? I'm
Sure.
not stupid enough to think it's not Finn Balor. This is quite an embarrassing moment, but I have to check because I'm too excited. And it's also 3 o'clock in the morning, which doesn't help. And I haven't had any sleep for 48 hours. No, Pete Dunne.
Oh my god, I'm trash.
I hate myself so much. He's like my favorite wrestler, and I didn't get it. So sorry, Pete.
Please don't break my fingers. We've met like 3 times. Please don't hurt me.
Yeah, you've met me. I've worked in the same locker room as you. I'm so sorry. Yeah, Pete Dunne. My apologies, but when you've got there's too much talent, I can't handle it. Karrion Kross defends against all 4 of these men. They had an amazing blow up, by the way. I love how everyone's like chatting shit. Oh, Johnny Gargano on NXT. He's standing on the announce table and he's just like, "Ooh, dummy Karen." He's like winding him up, and I'm like, "You fucking asshole, you're gonna die." And he's like, "Why don't you get in the ring?" He's like, "Oh, yeah, you know me, mate. I'm just right out here." He's got the headband on. He's got Austin Theory as his cheerleader. It's the way is incredible. I think they're fucking incredible. Johnny Gargano is the breakout heel that I've ever seen in NXT. I cannot get over how good he is. I'm amazed that people genuinely don't think he's good. I'm stunned by that. There must be a lot of people with Stevie Wonder syndrome. That's all I have to say on the matter. I could not call this, but I do think the champion probably retains just to get over how fucking dominant he is. The fact that Finn Balor's not even going to be on this card is mind-blowing, and we're seeing the best of Finn Balor that we've arguably ever seen. At least since NJPW, at least. I think this is going to be fucking spectacular. And the fact that Adam Cole is kind of like the assassin that jumps everyone from behind and got one over on Karrion Kross because he's playing the cerebral game, whereas everyone else is just being an out-and-out, fucking monster of sorts and a big main event. What a main event clash. What a fucking stacked match. This reminds me of that 6-pack challenge they had way back in 98, 99, The Rock and Bulldog and Mankind and Austin. And it's just, it's got everything.
Armageddon 2000.
That is the most underrated fucking pay-per-view ever. I just love that Hell in a Cell. It's like, we've got lots of people who can make money. Stuff them in a cage. That's basically what's happened here. NXT is just like, yeah, that's pretty cool. And I love the fact that William Regal's like, I'm in charge. Karrion Kross is like, no. No, you're fucking not. I'm huge and I'll murder everybody. And if I want to murder your roster, I will. And there's not a thing you can do about it. Oh, it's so well done. I am so fucking pumped. I get excited for every takeover. I've never been more excited for a takeover than I am for this one. I think this is going to blow the fucking doors off. And the great thing is, it's not going to be 4 hours long and have an army of botches. And let's be fair, it's going to be better than Double or Nothing. And I don't care if you disagree. Go away and watch another channel. I am so fucking pumped for this. Who comes out on top as NXT champion when it's all said and done, Mr. Wilkinson?
It's got to be Kross. Honest to God, any of these guys could win, and I would not be upset.
And then Keith Lee jumps him at the end and returns to NXT.
Karrion Kross and Keith Lee. That is something I could watch a lot of.
Oh, yeah.
But no, it's got to be Kross, doesn't it? Like, they've built him up so hard. Oh, fucking Cole tore that guy apart on the mic, though. Jesus Christ.
Cole's so good. He's too good for the main roster. He's too good. Do not leave NXT. You're too good. Like, no. And the thing is, Vince will be like, he's like 2 feet tall. Fuck off. And it's like, no, absolutely not. Oh, man. It's going to be stonking. It's going to be amazing. We're going to cover it for the YouTube channel. We're going to cover it for the podcast. And frankly, if you're not going to watch this and you claim to be a wrestling fan, well, you're a moron. That's all I have to say on the matter. If you're not watching TakeOver in your house, or if you're not excited for that card that we've just mentioned to you, which, by the way, has 2 women's matches on the main show, that doesn't seem difficult at all. Not to mention my boys Everrise doing the pre-show. And they're really growing on me rapidly, those two. They're very funny. There's so much here. And it's all going to be wrapped up in a neat little 2.5-hour bow as well. And that's what's wonderful about it. And even if it went free, I don't care, because it'll still be so much better than anything else that's going today. We are spoiled for great wrestling right now. And this, frankly, is at the top of the pile for me, and this could end up stealing the year. I'll be surprised if this isn't my pay-per-view of the year award when it comes to our end-of-year awards. I'm already halfway there. Holy shit. What happened?
Passage of time. Real scary, dude.
Anything to add, mate? Your excitement for In Your House.
I mean,
And we'll be getting a set as well. Come on, you'll be getting a garage, mate. If Johnny Gargano doesn't use the front door again, and this time Karrion Kross is behind him going, I'm gonna. Oh, mate, if that happens, that's it. This is the greatest.
Johnny will open the door, and Karrion's all like he's just standing behind him the whole time, and Johnny just opens the door, coming out like, "Yeah, let's go," and then.
I really like the idea that like the doorbell rings halfway through the match. Scarlett Bordeaux like comes out through the door, and Johnny's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And then Karrion Kross just like rises up behind him through the fucking ring doorbell, and he's just like, it'd be fucking incredible. Johnny Gargano, I reckon, is gonna steal this one in terms of the performance, but I think Karrion Kross will walk out as champion, and this will cement him as the guy. But that being said, if the stories are to be true, and Karrion Kross is to go out to the main roster soon, now's probably the perfect time to pull the trigger, because he doesn't have to be anywhere near the decision, so it doesn't affect his strength as a character.
If you're going to do that, give it to Pete Dunne. I would like that a lot.
So sorry, I forgot your name, Pete. I'm so sorry. Because he's like, I'm so excited Pete Dunne is in the main event, and he's going to be wrestling for the title, because it's about goddamn time. And by the way, I'm still wetting my pants over how good Pete Dunne versus Finn Balor was. That's still my match of the year. These guys have the opportunity to take that from them. And if anyone says that Kenny Omega is in the match of the year, well, you clearly just don't know anything about wrestling, do you? So yeah, anything to add, mate?
No, I think that'll about do it. We're gonna watch it Sunday. We're gonna cover it for you guys, and it's gonna be fucking so good.
It's gonna be so fucking pang, is what it is. So if you are watching this on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you very soon for more content from the Wrestle Block.